everybody, it's Andy and welcome to a live stream. And what we're going to do today in our guitar lesson is we're going to play the E major chord scale. And we're all going to play it together. We're going to use it for learning music theory, we're going to use it for creating songs, and we're going to use it for jamming. So here we go, let's get started. First thing that we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the E major chord scale. And this is the most basic one where you don't have to do any bar chords. So let's tackle it. The first chord, chord number 1 in the key of E is, you guessed it, an E chord. There it is on the tab, okay, 0, 2, 2, 1, 0, 0. If you can read the music, that's great too, but the tab really helps. You don't have to read music to learn any of this stuff, okay? So you can absorb it just off the tab if you want to, or just memorize the finger shapes. Here we go. So there's a basic E. We're going to call that chord number 1. Chord 1 is E. Chord 2 is F sharp minor. We're using the open strings to ring out so that we don't have any bar chords to learn today. Not on this line. Okay, chord number 3, we got our G sharp minor. Chord number 4, we have A. I love that chord, it just sounds so great. It really rings. Okay, next chord, chord 5, that's a B. Keep going. Chord 6 is C sharp minor. And of course, chord 7 is our diminished chord. And here we go. D sharp diminished. It's going to sound pretty dissonant. And then finally, we're back to E, which is exactly where we started. It's the same as the original chord, just 1 octave higher. Okay, is that chord number 8? Well, we're going to consider it chord number 1. We're back to 1. Okay, so there's only 7 chords in the key of E. You have chord 1, E, chord 2, F sharp minor, chord 3, G sharp minor, chord 4, A, chord 5, B, chord 6, C sharp minor, chord 7, D sharp diminished, and of course chord 1, we're back to E. Okay, how do you use this to jam or write a song? Well, let's do a chord progression. Okay, it's not super common just to go straight through the chords all in order in a row. That's too predictable. And so what I would like to play with you today is a simple chord progression like 1, 4, 5. Let's work on that. Okay, right now I'm going to strum with my pick. Okay, we got chord 1, play along. Chord 1. Chord 4, which is A. Chord 5, which is B. Back to 1. Then it's time to repeat. 1. Chord 4. Chord 5. Back to 1. Repeat. E again. Okay, notice that the chord progression we played was 1, 4, 5, 1. Then repeat. 1, 4, 5, 1. Most chord progressions are 4 measures long, okay? And so we only used 3 chords, but we used one of them twice so that we could get 4 measures in our phrase. 1, 4, 5, 1. Okay, so that's an easy chord progression. Let's play it together again. 1, 2, ready, play. chord progression. How about we'll do 6, 2, 5, 1. This time we get to, excuse me, use some of our minor chords. Okay, 6, 2, 5, 1. Here we go. Chord 6 is C sharp minor. Chord 2 is F sharp minor. Chord 5 is B. Chord 1 is E. Again, we have a 4-measure phrase. There are 4 chords, and we're playing C sharp minor, F sharp minor, B, E. We're kind of jumping around. We're not playing them in consecutive order, right? We're jumping from one spot to another. So 6, 2, 5, 1 is the chord progression. Let's play it together. Ready, set, go! We got some good basic chord progressions there. Keep in mind that you can also use these for finger picking. And so if I use what's called the celestial finger picking pattern, that would be thumb on string 4. You know, let's get a close-up on this so that you can really see, okay? Thumb on string 4. Pointer finger on string 3. Middle finger on string 2, ring finger on string 1. And before the song starts, you could do this. Just put your fingers on the strings and give them a little tug. Just grip the strings, squeeze the strings, and then you're ready to play. You won't miss. You won't hit a wrong note. Guaranteed success. See, I've got all my fingers on the strings I want to play. Therefore, I can't miss. Okay, and if you use that pattern, it works on any or all of these chords. And if you want to have a little bit of a more of a bigger sound, then use what's called the traveling thumb. So first your thumb will play string 4. Now this time your thumb will play string 5. And now your thumb will play string 6. Maybe my thumb will go back to 5 again. Okay, so as I travel, my thumb plays different notes, but my fingers never leave the 3 skinny strings. See that my fingers stay in the same place all day long. They never change. So the celestial finger picking pattern is this. Go through the chords, it's going to sound like this. Go. Okay, let's go back to our chord scale and continue on. So now let's work on how to play the bar chords. Okay, if you know bar chords, then you've probably played most of these chords before. Let's go for it. This is the bar chord version. Okay, so chord 1, E. Chord 2, F sharp minor. Full bar all the way across the 2nd fret. Best way to practice your bars is the squeeze and let go method, okay? I practice my bar, I practice my bar, I practice my bar, I practice my bar. You just do it 100 times. You get lots of practice. Most people, when they learn their bars, they try once and they're like, well, I practiced. Okay, well, one practice isn't going to get you very far. It's like going to the gym. and doing 1 rep and going, well, I guess I did the gym today. You're not getting anywhere. You need to do it 100 reps. You practice, and then you go, well, I got to adjust my fingers a little. Well, maybe I'll adjust my fingers a little. Maybe I'll adjust my fingers a little. I'm going to adjust my fingers a little. You just keep doing it over and over until you dial it in and you focus it in. And you finally find that one sweet spot where all the notes ring. That's how you master your bars. Okay, we did F sharp minor, bar chord, fret 2. Move on. Then the next one, G sharp minor, bar chord on 4. Okay, and then we're on A, bar chord on 5. Then we're on B, which is bar chord on 7. Then we're on C sharp minor, bar chord on 9. These have all been kind of classic shapes that you might have seen before. Okay, but then this D sharp diminished one is sort of a non-traditional one, but I threw it in anyways. Bar on 11. You got your 12th fret note on the 5th string. Then you got 14th fret, string 2, which I use my pinky to play. And that's the chord. And it leads to the E at the end. Okay, so D sharp diminished leads to E. They call D sharp the leading tone. It leads to E. There we go. Okay, so that row was the bar chord version of the E major chord scale. And I think that we should practice it together all the way through. Then we'll move on to the next line. 1, 2, ready, go. Squeeze and let go. Did it. All right, there's our bar chord version. And let's keep going. So then the next one is with the sevenths. We added the sevenths into the chords this time. Oh, and by the way, I'm wearing my cool BeyondGuitar t-shirt. I'll put a link below if you want to check out one of those. Pretty high quality stuff. Hey, made in USA too. So when I ordered my shirt, it came like 2 days later from Indiana, from the printing printing place in Indiana. So I live in Michigan, so it literally took like less than 48 hours to get my shirt. And it's really nice too. I've washed it and dried it several times, and so the letters are staying on there perfectly. Okay, here we go. So this is with the sevenths. So we have E major 7. What's the difference between E and E major 7? One note. But that note's pretty dissonant, right? E major 7. You might associate major 7 with like the sound of the 70s, like yacht rock or soft rock, like the sound of Bread, or you know, late 70s kind of acoustic rock kind of sounds. Would Bach have played a major 7? Probably not. But it's what I would call a modern chord, a chord that was made popular after the jazz era. Okay, so E major 7. All right, then we have F sharp minor 7. What's the difference between F sharp minor and F sharp minor 7? One note. It just makes it sound a little bit more rich, you know? It doesn't change the fact that it's an F sharp chord. It doesn't change the fact that it's minor. It just adds one note that's a little bit more dissonant, so you get a fuller sound. Okay, G sharp minor 7. Now we have A, except it's not just basic A, it's A major 7. Okay, and we're not going to use a bar this time. This time we're going to go fingertip, 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 fingertip. It's all on the fingertips. There's no bar. There are 4 notes and you have 4 fingers, so it works out perfectly. Now there is a big X in the middle of this chord because your finger will naturally bump into the 5th string, and the 5th string doesn't have any notes to play. It's just a dead string, and we want that, so you don't have to try hard to mute that string. I think your finger will just mute that string without very much effort. So just allow your finger to bump into that string and you'll mute that note. Same is true of string 1. I didn't put an X there, but I am muting string 1 also. Okay, that's A major 7. Let's continue. Okay, this chord is B7. Why is it B7? Okay, is it because it's on the 7th fret? No, it's because it has the 7th note up from B if you play the scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 as the 7th note. Okay, so I would call this a blues chord, B7, or you might also call it a dominant chord, but there it is. I suppose you could play it like a bar chord if you want to, but I chose the jazz fingering. It's 1 finger, 1 finger, 1 finger, 1 finger, all fingertips, no bar. Okay, continue. Now we got C sharp minor 7. Okay, that looks pretty familiar. We've played this shape earlier. Okay, now we have that crazy diminished chord, so let's figure it out. It says 11, 11, 11. So at first glance, you think it's a bar, but no. 11, 11, 11. Then you got to save your pointer finger to play fret 10. And now you have a D sharp chord. I've labeled it as D sharp diminished. You may, in a jazz situation, hear D sharp minor 7 flat 5. Okay, I didn't want to write all that stuff on here and get too complicated with the music theory, so I just call this chord 7. It's the 7th one on the list, and it's a diminished chord. Diminished triad. Okay, not great to sing over. So you might not start a chorus of a song on that chord, but it does lead to E. So, D sharp diminished leads to E. It's the leading tone. If you play a D sharp diminished, chances are you're not going to any one of those other chords. Chances are you're going to want to go to E next. Okay, let's play this whole row of chords. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, play. Let's go down the scale. Let's go backwards through the chords. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so let's create a song with it. What do you say we play chord 3? 5, chord 7, and chord 1. 3, 5, 7, 1. Chord 3, chord 5, chord 7, chord 1. Okay, it's a bit of a jazzy chord progression, but there it is. All right, let's cover our final line. And hey, not every chord on the guitar has its root note on the 6th string. So far, all we've covered is root note on the 6th string. But sometimes you have your root note on the 5th string, and so let's study that. Okay, here are all the same chords again, but with the root notes on the 5th string. And so we have E major 7. Even though the root note is here, 7th fret on the 5th string, I can still strike the low E if I want to. Okay, so you might hear that chord in, say, a Red Hot Chili Peppers song. I'm not going to play it right now because I don't want to have any copyright claims, but if you listen to the song Under the Bridge, you're going to hear that chord prominently. Okay, continue. Chord 2, F sharp minor. It's a bar chord. It's actually F sharp minor 7. Okay, next chord, G sharp minor 7. Same chord, just played 2 frets higher. Okay, now I could get into the next chord way up on the 12th fret, although it's getting hard to play chords where the notes are so tiny, especially if you're trying to do bar chords and such. So what I did is, instead of playing it on the 12th fret and going into the stratosphere, I just went an octave lower. So here's A major 7. There it is, in the open string position. Okay, the next chord is a B7. 2, 4, 2, 4, 2. Next chord, C sharp minor. And then the final chord, chord 7, is D sharp diminished. We're not going to get into the music theory of what's a fully diminished and what's a half diminished and stuff like that. All you need to know is chord 7 diminished. And that leads to back to E, E major 7. Okay, let's put all those together. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, you know, the diminished chords are more likely played in a song in minor, but that's okay. Sometimes you hear them in a song in major. The first time I ever played this D sharp diminished chord was in the song Believer, written by Randy Rhoads on guitar. Okay, Randy Rhoads was definitely influenced by classical music, and so he would often play chord 7, chord 1, which is, you know, in classical music you do hear chord 7 a lot more often than, say, in a pop tune. But Randy Rhoads wasn't afraid to use a diminished chord in a radio song. You just follow it by the E. Okay, D sharp leads to E. All right, let's play it in reverse. Okay, go back. You know, go down the scale, go backwards. So descending is the proper term. We're going to descend through the chords and go the other way. 1, 2, 3, go. so my final thought is sometimes that diminished chord is just a little bit too dissonant to use in like a singer-songwriter kind of situation. And so here's a thought. What if I played this D sharp diminished chord that's there on the screen, but I turn to the bass player and I say, hey, bass player, don't play D sharp, play B. Okay, so what happens to the sound? Well, the guitar player is playing a D sharp diminished chord, but the bass player sounds a B. What happens? Well, that chord that the audience hears, the audience now hears a B7. Okay, because what is a B7? Well, it's a B on the bottom, of course, but then all the other notes kind of spell out a D sharp diminished chord. Okay, so inside of a B7 chord, there's a D sharp diminished chord hidden in there. So if you're ever unsure, well, how can I use this diminished chord in a song? Like, I'm just not feeling the sound of chord 7. Okay, put B on the bottom or have the bass player play a B, and now you have a B7. Okay, it's the same notes. So that's why I wrote substitute B7 for D sharp minor. Okay, and it works in all these different examples. Like I have on the screen there, 12, 13, 11. Okay, so that's our D sharp diminished chord, but when you put a B at the bottom, it becomes a B7. Okay, anyways, I hope you enjoyed the process of blasting through all those different chord scales. And if you have any questions, just go ahead and drop it in the comments below and I'll answer. And thanks for tuning in, everybody. And I'll see you next time.